angels willing to hold us in their arms. When our worth was stone, our ashes, and we both passed on. Let forever mean forever and carry on.
Good afternoon. Wow. Yeah, it is starting to warm up here. I should have probably kicked the air on before I started the show, but I didn't. So I'll probably catch it right at the end of the monologue I'll throw on the air. So anyway, I do have a topic today. Well, and personally, I think it's a humorous one, but some people aren't going to think so. The name of today's monologue is going to be Prep Like This Guy or You Will Die. Because we all know those people, right? Sometimes those people pop up in comments. So we're going to go over that today. We're going to talk a little bit about the thought process, or I should say lack of thought process behind this, and why you should avoid it. And I'm going to use the perfect example from last night, overnight, as the example. It actually works out beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Somebody thought they were being smart. They were actually being pretty stupid, and we're going to point it out. They're blocked, by the way, so you won't see their comments anymore. They're blocked. Comments were deleted, but nonetheless, they are going to be put on video. 2 out of the 3 anyway. He made 3 comments. I guess I didn't get an email for the 3rd, so it is what it is. So anyway, let me go ahead and run over the normal stuff, and then we're going to jump right into it, because I'm telling you, this is actually an issue. This is a big issue, and although I'm going to be cracking lots of jokes with this, because I really do think it's that humorous, although I'm going to be cracking a lot of jokes with this, this is a very serious thing, and you have to watch out for these type of folks, because they will steer you down the wrong path in a heartbeat, as long as they can wave their little imaginary flag and think that they got one over on somebody. So you have to be really careful. I've seen a lot of people steered wrong directions in prepping from these type of individuals. So again, we're going to get to that in just a moment. Got some great news. We almost broke a record today. I thought I was pretty much done and over as far as earnings in our Amazon affiliate account, and I was wrong. We actually got a good bump last night, overnight, and almost broke that record, which is this month, by the way, the month we just got paid for, which was $88 and some odd cents. I can't remember the how many cents it was, but just over 88 bucks. Anyway, Amazon affiliate, we are up to $87.92. Now that is the absolute highest it will go, because come midnight or whatever time technically the change is over, it'll zero back out. So thank you. Seriously, that is like absolutely incredible. I did not expect that. Did not expect that. So, wow, I was shocked when I got up and checked this morning. So anyway, for those that don't know, we are an Amazon affiliate. So anytime you go shopping on Amazon, if you go through our link before you do your shopping, and once you purchase your items, it throws a little bit our way. It doesn't cost you anything more, and it helps us out. It helps us out do what we do. It helps us make like review videos that we can get condescending comments on and stuff like that. Because that's the real purpose of doing the review videos, right? Is the comments. And so anyway, you can find that link in the description of our videos, or if you go to the watchmannews.com, right on our homepage, it's right up here at the top right. So it just takes you to Amazon. You go to Amazon, it's got our little identifier up in the address bar. You put whatever you want in the search box, whatever you're looking for, and when you make your purchase, like I say, it throws a little bit our way. Anyway, we also have an Amazon store, and we are constantly adding to that store, and it's pretty much the same thing. If you go to the store and you make purchases, we'll get a little bit. Doesn't cost you anything more. Very, very much appreciated. As you can see, all those little bits add up. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm impressed. And again, thank you. I sincerely mean that. Thank you. For those that don't shop Amazon but would like to help us on our journey, we do have a donate link on our website at thewatchmannews.com. It's right there. That will take you to our PayPal donation page. And you don't have to have a PayPal account. You can just use a credit or a debit card. It will say Transforming Disabilities up top. That is us. It will also say Purpose the Watchman News donation. That way you know that you're in the right place. So never required, but always, always appreciated. So anyway, wow, I tried to get through that as absolutely quick as I could. I think I did pretty good. Believe it or not, I get tired of saying it. Probably I get more tired of saying it than you probably get of hearing it. So it is what it is, though. Let me have a sip of coffee, and we'll get this train a-moving. Good stuff. So as I said, overnight, I had some emails, some comments. And, sometimes people say things and they don't even have a clue of what they're talking about. But boy, will they talk down to you like you're a complete fool. Well, I hate to tell this gentleman, by the way, on YouTube he goes by the name of Chris V. That is Chris V-E-E. And I would tell you to go over to his channel and because he's got all the answers over there. But the problem is there's no content. There's no content. One subscriber, no videos. Wow. So anyway, since I can't send you over to him, I guess we're just all doomed. No, we're not. Let's approach this in a logical manner. First off, I want everybody to know, and this is my number one rule. What's my number one rule when I do a video about bug-out bags, for instance? My number one rule is don't watch my video and build your bug-out bag on my video. Don't watch anybody's video and build your bug-out bag on their video. Why? Because you know your circumstances. I don't. I don't have a clue of your circumstances. I don't have a clue of the climate you're in. I don't have a clue what type of items you'll need, whether they be the normal basic types of items, and I don't have a clue of any type of special needs items that you would need for any type of special situations. I don't mean special needs in the way you normally hear that, but I mean for whatever situation that you're in, whatever you're going to require to be able to sustain your life. I don't have the answers to that. All of us can tell you basics like water filters and fire making supplies, and we can all tell you that. But, again, you have to set your bug-out bag, for instance, in this case, for you, okay? For example, let me throw you an example out there. Evil has brought us a number of things over the period of years that we've known him. And of those things he's brought several different fire starters, okay? One of them I keep on my keychain. It's on my side at all times, okay? Another time that he had came by, he brought, I think it's a UST brand, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Eagle, whatever you want to go by today. Hey, what do you identify as today? Anyway, he brought one, and it's in this bright orange plastic handle. It's actually really, really cool. And I like that. I really like the design of it. Okay, yeah, it is a UST. Okay, just making sure. So anyway, that is actually in Jen's bug-out bag. So why would I pick the one that I like most? Well, actually, the one I like most is that big half-inch one you gave me. But anyway, out of the way they're designed and all of that UST one is actually my favorite. So why would I give that to Jen? Well, because she's my favorite too. But the other reason why is because, as you all know, she's got cerebral palsy, okay? She doesn't have the hand dexterity that most of us have. So, with the bigger handles, she will be able to hold on to it a little better and be able to better utilize that particular one over any of the others. That is one of the special needs that I'm talking about. And again, I don't mean when I say special needs as in some type of a disability. I mean, you just may have special circumstances that you need certain things that other people won't. Okay? So that's my number one rule whenever I do like a bug out video or anything like that is don't follow my video to a T. You put in there what you are going to need, okay? I hope to inspire some ideas, but I hope to God nobody follows my videos like that to the letter. I really hope they don't. So that's important to understand, because see, you're going to get a lot of people in life that will want to give you answers. They've got plenty of answers. The problem is they don't even know the question. They don't even know the question. And Mr. Chris V here has no idea what the question is. Okay, and you're going to see that in his comments. He has no clue. Not only no clue of our situation, but just no clue in general. Pretty dumb, actually. You're going to see that. Let me go ahead and go to the first email here. And you're going to see why I'm doing this. Okay, the first one is, by the way, and this one's small and really not much to it other than he's an idiot. Holy smokes, folks, we have a very useful gas canister that can heat your food or start thousands of fires. But we're going to waste our fuel to make, by the way, that's A-R-E, not O-U-R. We're going to waste our fuel to make char cloth when we could have made that in the first campfire we made, starting our fire with a lighter or the flame of the stove for a min, whatever, saving ourselves lots of fuel for weeks. For weeks, it took me 14 and a half minutes. That stove total didn't even burn for 20 minutes. One of the reasons for me doing that was showing how efficient those stoves were. And when I showed that, we were maybe a little over 1/8 of an inch of fuel down in the tank, and a 2.5 pint tank. Wow, I just wasted a ton of fuel, man. Oh my God. I'm going to have like the environmentalists all over me, and my God. Anyway, and he says saving our life over an open campfire. Wow, look at that. Look, man, I could have boiled a liter of water like the other 5 million videos out there on stoves. It didn't even occur to me that I was going to have to please you out of the 7.5 billion people on the planet, that I needed to please you with what it was that I put on that stove. I didn't want to do the same things that everybody else is doing, right? I didn't have a need nor desire to scramble a skillet of eggs or anything like that. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do char cloth. Just for the hell of it, I'll do some char cloth. That's it. There was really no thought put into that. You put more thought into cutting me down for it than what I put into what I was going to use to be able to do the demonstration. The intent of that video was just to basically show you how to light the stove, tell you a few things about it, and show it to you. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. It wasn't that I was telling people to make char cloth on their liquid fuel stoves. So I don't understand the point. Once again, got the answers, don't know the question. So anyway, like I said, this email is neither here nor there. That was just absolute idiocy, actually. So let's go on to Mr. Chris V's second video. And sit down, dude. Relax, right? Get your buddies together, because one of your comments, which I don't have, the one I don't have is something about how you're going to tell all your hiker buddies and your camping buddies and all that, so they could go to that video and have a good laugh and all that. So call your 2 friends over, have a seat, make sure you got something to drink, get real nice and comfortable, okay? Make sure you've got your man buns put up, and relax. Right? Don't worry, we're not going to take too long with this. You guys can get on with your circle jerk real quick like, okay? So he said they don't operate in the winter either under a certain temperature. You can give any excuse you want to try and do whatever you want to in the winter time. It's not going to work. Atmospheric pressure and the cold won't allow the gas to stay lit. And he's doing this in the summertime. This is liquid gas. Most people carry the canisters because, well, carrying lots of fuel is heavy to carry. And for the winter campers, they know not to use any gas in the winter. This Mike guy isn't doing or using any camping/backcountry camping or using any of his promotion items, which I get a kick out of there, which, by the way, tells you the motivation for this. to teach anyone properly, just a couch camper? Well, first of all, the one thing I was able to teach in that video was what happens when your stove will start to sputter like it did and kick out the yellow flames like that. Your pressure is going down. Just pump it up. So yeah, I did actually teach a little bit in that, but I also very clearly indicated in that video that I am going to be making another video of a complete teardown and being able to diagnose problems with them and put them back together. Okay? That is going to be the video if you want to learn about those stoves, if you actually want to learn what makes them tick. That video is going to be the one to watch, not the one of me just demonstrating lighting it and showing that how hot it actually gets. Because, by the way, you normally don't do char cloth in 14 and a half minutes. So anyway, the thing of it is, and again, I hit the reasoning right there. He thinks it's a promotion item. Folks, Coleman didn't send me that stove. Amazon did not send me that stove. I mean, they sent it because that's where we bought it. But we bought that stove. It's not a promotional item. That is a stove that is in our gear. Now, speaking of that, not at any time whatsoever have I ever said that I was going to throw that in a backpack and go hiking. Ever. Ever. In fact, I distinctly said a few different times during monologues, I know not in that particular video, but I distinctly said a few different times in monologues that that would not be going in my backpack. It's too heavy, it's too bulky. I wouldn't put that in my bug-out bag. Oh, wait, then what are you going to cook with? Well, one of the 3 other stoves that I do have in my bug-out bag that I've told you about. Well, that's interesting. So that's not my only way of cooking, now is it? See, in total, we have 5 ways to cook. We have one of those little soda can, beer can, alcohol stoves, okay, which you're really not going to use when it's super cold. And we're going to get to this in a minute. We're going to talk about the facts of that here in a minute. And you'll see why it's needed to call this dumbass out. So, anyway, we've got that alcohol stove. We've got one of those, and I believe it's a UST brand too. It's one of those little folding stoves that comes with, like, I believe 6 tablets with it that you can use to cook with. And guess what? You can also put twigs and branches in there. Chris, can you tell me what temperature is too cold that we can't burn wood, please? Because we need to know. Also, I have a knockoff version. It's not the Solo Stove brand, but a knockoff version of a Solo Stove in my bug-out bag. So those 3 stoves are in my bug-out bag. They stay in my bug-out bag. Those 3, if for some reason I was somehow teleported to the Appalachian Trail and had to, hike 5 billion miles, those 3 stoves would be on me, not the Coleman stove, okay? And also not our primary, which I've gone over this as well, our primary stove for cooking, and that's a tent stove. It's a wood tent stove. That is what I intend once everything is set up and in place, once I am at our location. That's the stove that I will primarily use. Why? Because the resources, they'll be all around me. Plain and simple. So I would put the Coleman stove at number 2 in the list of stoves for preference. Okay? But let's take a look at this. His comments here about cold temperatures. And this is a good teaching lesson for those that want to know. By the way, they make a paste, what they call a preheating paste for these types of stoves. If it's below a certain temperature, what you do, there's that brass tube that goes across the top that I showed. That is your generator tube. And what you do is you apply some of this paste underneath of it and you light it with a lighter. And that will preheat that tube. And you'll be able to easily light it in cold temperatures. contrary to Chris's belief. So, I know, I'm just speaking words, right? How would anybody know whether I'm telling the truth? Well, let's ask the Appalachian Mountain Club, shall we? So, first off, and I really need to point this out, first off, they are talking about the canister stoves, like your propane, your butane stoves. That is what they are talking about in this article, mainly. But the last paragraph's going to be a doozy, Chris. I hope you're waiting. My canister stove is simple and convenient to operate and has long been my go-to 3-season option. But it sucks in the winter or any time temperatures start dropping below freezing when they work poorly to not at all. Why? It boils down to some basic chemistry and physics. Canisters contain a compressed blend of butane and propane. The pressure keeps most of the mixture in a liquid state. You can hear it sloshing around inside if you shake the canister. Though a small amount vaporizes into a gas above the liquid, when you attach a stove to the canister and turn it on, the gas rises out of the canister to feed the stove burner and heat your food or water. In order for this to work, the pressure inside the canister must be greater than the pressure outside the canister, but as the canister temperature drops below freezing, its internal pressure starts to diminish until this is no longer the case and the burner sputters and goes out. Why? The primary culprit is butane, which stops vaporizing at 31 degrees Fahrenheit, its boiling point. Isobutane, a chemical variation of butane, continues vaporizing down to 11 degrees Fahrenheit. Butane is the primary component in fuel canisters, typically accounting for 70 to 80% of the fuel mixture. Propane makes up the remainder. Unlike butane, however, propane continues vaporizing even in very cold temps down to minus 43 degrees Fahrenheit. This has some interesting implications for cold weather performance. Among these is the fact that propane will burn off at a disproportionate rate in sub-freezing temperatures. As the remaining mixture shifts increasingly toward butane, less and less fuel vaporizes until eventually the canister pressure drops too low to continue feeding the stove. This means that a brand new fuel canister may work for a while in sub-freezing conditions, but can stop working long before the canister is empty. There's also another factor at play that affects a canister's cold weather performance: the process of vaporization. The changing of physical state from liquid to gas takes energy. In a fuel canister, that energy comes mostly from the warmth or latent heat in the fuel mixture itself, which is why a stove canister will become noticeably cooler while the stove is operating. In cold temperatures, this effect can drive the canister temperature down and stop the burner cold, even if the ambient temperature is above the fuel's boiling point. Okay? So, real quick, right there, before we scroll down and hit the last paragraph, sip of coffee. The type of stove that you were more or less trying to promote and recommend would actually be worse in a cold weather situation. Not better, worse. Interesting. So here's the last paragraph. So what to do? If you expect to do much winter camping, buy a liquid fuel stove that runs on white gas, which works well even in bitterly cold temperatures. If you are out with a canister stove in borderline near freezing conditions, warm up the canister before you use it. Stick it inside your layers for a while or bring it into your sleeping bag at night. Placing the canister in a shallow dish or pan with an inch or two of water can also help keep it above freezing while in use. So I wanted to give you, a little bit of a lesson on that. I figured this was a good opportunity for that. Plus it teaches a good lesson. Again, you have to watch what other individuals say. They don't care. They could care less. Chris could care less if we died in a post-SHTF event. It's no skin off him, right? He could care less. But he can have his 2 seconds of fame and look like the big guy, the tough guy, the intelligent guy. Folks, when you find a person like that, you need to get away from them. Seriously. Seriously. Again, this goes back to, what was it, Monday's monologue video? I want to say it was. You know, the different prepper mentalities, more or less, the attitudes, the personalities. You have to watch. These people are dangerous. Really, really dangerous. But just to follow up on his last part about, you know, the weight of liquid fuel. Again, never said I'm putting the Coleman stove in my backpack. Okay? If we were in a situation, Jen and myself, that would require us to be quote-unquote hiking, we're dead. It's already over. So, once again, Chris has answers without knowing the questions. Firstly, our intent is not to be put in a situation like that. Jen isn't going to be able to hike the trails too awful much with forearm crutches, and by the time I make it up that first hill and can't breathe because of my moderate COPD, we're going to be in some sad shape. Nobody ever said anything about going for a hike with a Coleman stove. At all. Anywhere, at any time. Not here. So I really don't get where he was pulling his mindset. I mean, I know where he's pulling. He's pulling it out of his ass. But the thing of it is that's not our intention. And for those that paid attention, I've said it a few different times, we intend on building up somewhere between 20 and 25 gallons of white gas. Now, we definitely ain't going to put that in a backpack and head out to the Appalachian Trail. That's not the intent of it. It's not the intent of it. We've got our prep set up for our situation. Our first intent is to bug in. That's our first intent. If we have to bug out, we've got methods to achieve that. And on our own, by the way, it's easy for most people. They'll grab their car keys and throw stuff in the car and go. We don't have a car. We don't drive. But we do have that situation addressed. And that's if things just got so whacked out of proportion that it would come down to that. We would most likely be throwing our stuff into a vehicle of a friend's and going about our way, in which we would put all 20 to 25 gallons of camping fuel, along with all of our food, along with all of the rest of our supplies. Nobody ever said anything about hiking. Not any time on this channel. You really have to watch these folks. They are dangerous. They will give you the wrong information and lead you down a wrong path. And you will be the one to pay for it, not them. Not them. They're getting off their jollies or whatever, off of thinking they left scathing comments when truthfully they had no idea what the hell they were even talking about. It's ridiculous. It truly is. It truly is. And yes, be rest assured, if you leave an idiotic comment on a video, I will delete it, and I will block the person. It's plain and simple. For most of the time that the Watchman News has been on air, since 2014, the comments on our videos were disabled. This was the reason why. Because YouTube is a troll fest. And what happens is usually within 10 comments on most videos, there is so much trolling and crap being said that the comments are no longer even about the video content. To me, that makes no sense. And so that's why, for the majority of the time, the comments were disabled. Because we do news. That's guaranteed to do one thing: provoke one side of the argument. Period. That's what news does. It always provokes half of the people. And we well know, sometimes most of them. So, I decided, I had a long talk with Prepper Nurse one night, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to turn the comments on. So I did. And I said, if it ever gets too far out of hand, I'll turn them back off. I'm not going to turn them off at this point. Not for I mean, it would have to get bad. I don't see that ever happening, because when I say it would have to get bad, this channel would have to grow big enough that I wouldn't be able to keep up with them. Okay? That's the only way I would turn it back off. But you really have to be careful, like I said, because people with this mindset that think you have to do it the way they say it or else you just don't have a chance, 9 times out of 10, they have no damn clue what they're talking about. Not even the foggiest. And hopefully that's a good example of that. When I seen that, you know, I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? This is the perfect time to make that video. Because there's going to be a lot of these psychological type conversations that we're going to be having. Because it's very important. Very important. You have to be psychologically on point, or else your chances of surviving are pretty slim. Pretty slim. So we're going to be having several of those type of discussions in the future on different aspects. It is just what it is. I mean, it's hopefully most of them aren't because of some jackass. Hopefully most of them are just simply because, you know, they're different topics that really aren't talked about. You know, that's why I did the topic the one day about, you know, what to do after you've tried to get people to get on board with prepping and stuff. What to do after they absolutely refuse to. Because that's an important discussion that we need to have. And there's not a whole lot of people talking about it. And, you know, there are other individuals out there that are pretty dangerous with their content as well. Canadian Prepper comes top to mind. Okay? He wants to associate every psychological ideal with a movie or a TV show. That is going to set you up for failure. That is going to set you up for failure. If he can tell me who the hell was cutting the grass on The Walking Dead the entire time, then I'll give him credit. So, you know, you have to be, again, you have to be mindful for this stuff. Because these people are dangerous. Like I say, they don't care. They don't care whether you succeed or not. My intent behind doing the review stuff, and for the longest time we didn't do review type of stuff. That's not, in fact, I would always say that, you know, that's not what kind of channel we are. That's just not what we do. And I had a lot of people coming to me asking for ideas, you know, alternatives to expensive products that they couldn't afford. And so I got to thinking, maybe it is time to start doing some videos on different products and stuff like that. Maybe it is time. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. I can tell you one thing. I can assure you, I can promise you this. You can take this to the bank, as my dad used to say. I will never mislead you. I will always research the things that I show you. I mean, it took me literally, I was actually, when I found this article, I was looking for the exact temperature that you have to start using the preheat paste with the liquid fuel stove. That's what I was looking for. This was like within the first few links that popped up on my Google search. This one right here. This link. And so I real quick looked down through it to see if it gave me that magic temperature for liquid fuel stoves, and it doesn't. However, it had a lot more gold in it than that. A lot more gold in it than that. You know, the thing of it is, and this is most important to remember, and I've really been trying to drill this into everybody's head here recently. But that's the different tiers of prepping, because I see a lot of people that prep, and when they do their preps, they don't have a lot of long-term stuff in there. The only thing long-term they have is food. They seem to kind of not even think about the other items. And all your fancy MSR stoves and all of that's nice. But in my opinion, I don't think an MSR is quite ready for a long-term situation. There's too many removable connections and all that, too many places that leaks can pop up. Sure, if you want to carry 1 billion O-rings, go for it. I'm not knocking MSR. In fact, you know, MSR is a great solution for hikers. It gives them that liquid fuel capability that, by the way, you can use in colder temperatures, but it also gives it to them in a format that is much lighter and smaller, that they can put in a backpack and hike to their heart's content. However, for long term, I wouldn't recommend it so much. But there are a lot of items in prepping that I see people get, you know, stuff that's more geared for short-term or emergency type of stuff. I don't see a lot of preppers going out and looking at the long term. And that's what I'm trying to teach folks. You know, you need to have those different tiers. Unfortunately, with a lot of those products, the long-term stuff isn't necessarily something that you're going to put in a bug-out bag. Okay? So I would think, or I would hope, that the majority of people aren't thinking that their SHTF lifestyle is going to be spent completely in the woods and completely alone with, I mean, that, to me, that's already setting yourself up for failure. Ideally, after a period of time, you're going to be able to go back to a little bit more civilized locations. I didn't say mindsets, I didn't say societies, I said locations. In other words, if you do have to bug out in the middle of the sticks somewhere, after a certain amount of time, it would be feasible to come out of the sticks and go find yourself a home to live in. You know, something easier, say, to heat than a tent or a lean-to. So these items are for that. That's the idea behind the long-term items, for what you can do on a more permanent basis. You know, my intent isn't to go out into the sticks with just a backpack. If I'm doing that, stuff got real bad. That's really, I mean, I can't say that that's not anywhere in plans in my mind, because of course that is an eventuality that I have thought of and am working on preparing for. But I think it's a slim chance that it's going to come down to that. I mean, there are locations. I'm just saying, there are locations that we have to go. If you know, it's not going to come down to us living in the sticks for a long-term period. That's just not even in any way part of it. So you're going to need items that will stand the test of time. And that's what I am trying to help people see. And hopefully providing different products that will stand the test of time. So again, my promotional product is a tried and true stove. And they make tried and true lanterns. Excellent, excellent products. Not as good a quality as what they did have. I gotta say that. But you properly maintain them, don't abuse them, they will last multiple lifetimes, just as they have for multiple lifetimes. There's people out there today using Coleman stoves insanely old. And yeah, they've had to do repairs, they've had to do maintenance, but they still work like a charm. How long is it going to be before your solo stove is all rusted out and nothing but brown flakes on the ground? You know, be careful of these people. They don't have nothing to teach you. All they have is criticism and idiocy. And it's dangerous. Very dangerous. Anyway, that's what I've got for that part of it. We do have a lot of news links to go over today. It's okay now, Chris V. You can put your man bun down and go about your circle jerk. It's insane though, folks. It is insane. And no, I won't be addressing all idiots like this, but that one needed addressed. That one needed addressed. And once again, there will be a forthcoming video to where I go in very deep detail about those stoves. And hopefully you'll know enough by the end of that video to be able to completely rebuild one yourself if you would need to. They're not that hard. There's a few, important things to remember with it, and from there you can pretty well figure out anything you need to with them. So, anyway, sip of coffee, let's do some articles here, and go from there. Let's see. I was seeing what link you shared there. Oh, one of those little grills. Yeah, I mean, simple little things like that are excellent alternatives, Evil. It's like here, let me pop it up on screen real quick. Those are a great thing to have. In fact, here recently, I ran across I don't know if somebody was, what the deal was, if they were moving, why it was out there or whatever, but it was a piece to a shelf, and it's just the wire grate kind of thing, and it's a piece to a small shelf, and I went and I nabbed it because literally it would make the perfect, it's probably, I'm guessing, about the size, a little bit bigger, I would say, than what's there on the screen. Probably just a little bit bigger than that, but not by much. And I thought, you know what? That would be perfect to be able to put over a fire to cook with or whatever, if that need should arise. So items like that last you a long time, pretty much foolproof, even crisp-proof. Anyway, let me go ahead and get the headlines up here. Okay, and some of these are from last night. We're going to start out with those. UK to spend extra £2.1 billion on no-deal Brexit planning. They're concerned about that, huh? Putin and Trump hold phone talks initiated by the U.S. side, says the Kremlin. Iran foreign minister won't be considered primary contact in U.S. negotiations on JCPOA, says the Trump administration. Trump orders the Navy to take away awards ridiculously given to prosecutors. That whole situation is insane. That whole situation is insane. We were raising hell back when the awards were given, if you recall. U.S. to extend Iran nuclear waivers for 90 days, says Bolton. Twitter declines to comment on Russian embassy in Syria account suspension. U.S. seeks diplomatic solution. New comprehensive nuclear deal with Iran, says Pompeo. Is nothing sacred for Washington Post. Hamburgers have hidden Russian connection. It was the hamburgers. Trump is president because of hamburgers. I'm telling you, this is scary. And wow, this is beyond scary. Jeffrey Epstein wanted to seed the human race with his DNA, scientists claim. Yeah, I'm not like making that up. That is messed up. Messed up. Baltimore Democrat representative called his city infested, just like Trump, and he did. There's a video of it. U.S. extends restrictions on Iran. Pompeo vows to continue pressure. Let's see. Taiwanese cargo vessel U-Tai No 1, I guess, something like that, has arrived off the coast of Kinmen County after an unnamed Chinese warship collided with the bulk carrier. So that might be a little something to pay attention to. I'm not seeing a whole lot about that, though. That is literally like the only thing I've seen about that. Britain, this is from starting this morning here. Britain refuses to barter with Iran over seized tankers. U.S. seems to seek pretext to war as conflict potential increases in Persian Gulf, says Moscow. Israel attacks Syria's Quneitra, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, with missiles, says a report. Fire Pantaleo chants disrupt democratic debate as protesters demand killer cop's dismissal. That is the officer that killed Eric Garner. That is the officer that did that. So they're demanding he be fired, is what it is. That whole thing is a nightmare. It truly, truly is. A U.S. envoy fumes at Germany's reluctance to take part in Hormuz naval mission. Airbus profits skyrocket while rival Boeing's stumbles over 737 MAX crisis. I will really be surprised if Boeing doesn't go under. I will be shocked. Washington has lost power of rational thought. Rouhani slams childish sanctions on Iranian foreign minister. And NASA discovers first nearby super-Earth, which could be ripe for human colonization. Can I go first, please? Global central banks boost gold reserves by record $15.7 billion in shift away from U.S. dollar. That's an important thing to remember and pay attention to. Okay, if they're trying to move gold away from the dollar, in other words, something to fall back on, better keep your eye on that. I would say, although they're fixed, I would say keep an eye on gold prices, and all that stuff is fixed. You know that. You should know that by now. Precious metals prices, stock market, it's all fixed. It's all rigged. But there is a part of that market, or them markets, that will respond to big stimuli. So pay attention to them. Pay attention to them. U.S. appears to be seeking... Oh, I already said that. I don't know why that's shared twice. 6 death from listeria outbreak linked to NHS sandwiches, says the Public Health England. Russia gas supply via Nord Stream 2 pipeline to start by end of year at latest. Another thing to pay attention to. The U.S. is not happy about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline at all. And I would expect to see many different things happen in the future to try to prevent the completion of that, or to try to penalize anybody that takes part in it. Russiagate Queen reigns no more. Rachel Maddow ratings tank after collusion narrative implodes. It's a good thing. Good thing. I hate disinformation. I really hate disinformation. And why you're going to find that on all the network news, it doesn't matter which channel it is, whether it's faux news or CNN or whatever. You know, CNN is probably the worst, and she's absolutely horrendous in like every way you could think. Suspect arrested after brutal sword murder caught on camera in Germany. Sword murder. It doesn't matter, folks. You know, you can ban guns, you can ban knives. People are going to kill people. And in fact, what's going to happen if you ban guns is those murders will become much, much, much more brutal. That's just the way it is. Banning an inanimate object is not going to stop a person's intent. It's just going to change the way that they do it. That's all. It's ridiculous. You know, how about we work on the problems that are causing people to lash out this way? Why not do that? People are tired of getting squeezed. And that's why you're seeing more and more and more people lash out. Because they don't even have room to breathe anymore. They've got society up their butts, having to know every single little thing they're doing and breathing down their neck and criticizing for everything that they do. And then you got government that's got them backed in the corner as much as they can with laws and regulations and this crap and that crap. How about we leave people alone and let people breathe? Maybe they'll feel less likely to lash out. Just a thought. Scientists grow first ever human monkey embryo in promising step for organ harvesting. I'm not even quite sure what to think about this. I mean, deep down, I don't like it. But in the end, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. I really don't. Iran will prevail. Rouhani says Tehran ready for worst in effort to salvage nuclear deal. The latest budget debt deal clears Senate, heads to Trump. St. Louis judge throws curveball at attorneys seeking new trial for convicted murderer. Dark cloud has been lifted. RT investigates Epstein's pedophile island. Now they had a reporter and a crew out there at Epstein's island, and from what the article was saying, and I remember maybe yesterday or the day before there was a news article that what's his name, McAfee, was saying that, you know, he wasn't the one flying drones over that island while he was in jail. So I'm kind of curious if maybe it was RT and their crew that were actually flying the drones over the island during that time period. So I don't know, but I kind of put those two together. Trump to impose additional 10% tariff on remaining $300 billion of Chinese imports to U.S. from September 1st. IBM accused of sacking 100,000 workers to appear cool and trendy. Which ain't the reason why. The economy's tanking. The dollar's tanking. So are companies. Even the major companies. So that ain't the reason. Although I believe it was actually stated by one of them that was essentially the reason why. Folks, these companies are not going to tell you that they're not, you know, that they're in that much trouble financially. These companies just aren't going to do that. I could ask you about last year after the Black Friday sales. You know, normally you hear these corporations just ranting and raving about how well they did after the Black Friday sales. Last year you didn't hear that so much. There was a little bit here and there, but not like it usually is. Right? And any time that they do tell you that it's slipping a little bit, they always blame it on something. Right? Look at the companies that were blaming the truth about the economy on the weather. The weather. Okay? And then, you know, you had your brick and mortar stores and, like, say your major ones, even like Walmart and all that, that were blaming lower sales. I won't say poor sales, but lower sales on like Amazon and online business. And that does take a dent. Your online, retail does take a dent, but not like the numbers that they're losing. And when you look at the numbers overall, put together, your brick and mortar, your online sales and all of that, all of it's down. All of it across the board. So it is what it is. I mean, the economy is not that great. And all the indicators are right there. It's all right in front of our face. We just have to stop listening to what individuals say and go actually look at the numbers. That tells the truth. That tells the truth. And don't watch the stock market, by the way. A lot of people think that, like say the Dow, for instance, being real high. A lot of people think, oh, wow, that's great. That means we're doing great. We're doing better. No, it means that it's in a bubble. That's not great. It's not even good. So it's important to know these things. You have to know what to look for, what indicators to look for, and whether or not, the quote-unquote hopes are really just false pipe dreams. That's what our stock market is right now, pretty much a pipe dream. A cop investigated for alleged steroid rage during which he broke his own K9's leg. Pretty crazy. Trump says U.S. will hit $300 billion worth of Chinese goods. Oh, that was same as the other headline, just written a little differently. So, U.S. Navy's most expensive ship ever can't get ammo to the deck, can't launch new F-35 fighters. Yeah, apparently it's got 11 elevators, but 9 of them doesn't work. So only 2 of its elevators out of 11 actually function. This ship, it reminds me of the F-35. This ship is just plagued with issues. They've spent a fortune on it. They went over their budget on it. They took longer than what they said they were going to take to build it, and it doesn't work. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And this is one of the reasons why I tell folks, don't be so anxious to get into war with other countries. Don't be so anxious to do that. There are reasons why I say that. Once you pull away all the fake patriotism and take a good look at the situation that is at hand, not what we would like it to be, it's probably not a good idea to go picking a bunch of fights to start a worldwide conflict. Just saying. And what for anyway? There ain't nobody that we need to wipe off the face of the planet. There really isn't. We need to focus our attention here on the USA. It would be nice. It'd be nice. It would be nice to see the roads actually getting taken care of, and the bridges, especially the bridges. It would be nice to know that students aren't going to go to school and drink water that's tainted with lead and other insanely bad chemicals. It would be nice. But we're too busy blowing our money on all kinds of crap that we really don't need to even be involved in. It's ridiculous. North Korea launches new missile similar to ones used in recent tests, says a report that happened today. U.S. Air Force reveals only 7 of 61 B-1B Lancer bombers are war ready. Here we go once again. There are reasons I say we shouldn't be so excited at the idea of war. U.S. to continue taxing China until trade deal reached, says Trump. Trump says phone talks with Putin were good. INF treaty issue not discussed, says a report. And that's it. That's the headlines. I do have a number 3 up here on the RT app. Let me take a quick peek here. Soros gifts $5.1 million check to Democrats as he enters 2020 funding game. The great hack. Experts warn that Facebook's data grabbing puts power over people. And lastly here, This Is America. Gallery owner says MAGA hat triggered brutal New York beatdown. My God. That's what I'm saying. People can't breathe, right? You can't have your opinion. You can't be a Trump supporter. You can't be a Bernie supporter. You can't be without somebody having to say something. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm one of those that believes in the Constitution. You know? As long as you're not doing anything to actually cause harm to me, ain't none of my business. Ain't none of my business. Anyway, that's what I got for you for the monologue. We'll go ahead and get on with the rest of the show. For those here for the live show, we'll be live till 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. For those watching the recording of the monologue, thank you very much as always. God bless you. We love you. And be one with your spirit.